You hear it before you feel it. Before the first kiss. Before the first shared silence. Before even the first real argument. There it is. A vision. A shimmering, sun-drenched, impossibly coherent future. Your future. Painted in vivid detail by someone who barely knows your coffee order.
They speak of moving in together by next spring, of adopting a dog named Juno, of buying land in Portugal, of walking down an aisle, your aisle, with your mother crying softly in the third row. All this while you're still debating whether to text back after a 37-hour delay.
This isn't romance. It's dopaminergic future casting. A neurochemical sleight of hand where another person hijacks your reward circuitry, not with presence, but with projection. They don't offer love, they offer leverage. Not intimacy, but investment. Not partnership, but preemptive ownership. And you, yes, you, sitting there breathless, heart fluttering like a trapped bird, are not falling in love. You are being recruited into a story you didn't write. Future faking is not a mistake. It is a strategy. Calibrated, repeatable, and devastatingly effective.
The trap begins not with a lie, but with a lure. A future so richly imagined, so emotionally saturated that your nervous system forgets to ask one simple question. What is happening right now? That question, the only one that matters, is the first boundary you must reclaim.
A slow pan across a rain-streaked window. Light fractures through glass, refracting into broken rainbows on the floor. You've been trained by fairy tales, by rom-coms, by the quiet ache of longing, to believe that love announces itself in grand declarations. But love doesn't arrive in blueprints.
It arrives in pauses, inconsistency, in the quiet, unremarkable fidelity of showing up, again and again, when no one is watching. Future faking bypasses all of that. It skips the soil and plants the tree in mid-air.
Courtship is not fundamentally about honesty, but about winning a mating partner. Helen Fisher, 78% of adults in Hendrix's 1973 clinical cohort reported idealized early courtship narratives that collapsed within 18 months. This isn't new. It's ancient.
And its roots run deeper than dating apps, deeper than psychology, straight into the marrow of survival itself.
Long before dopamine receptors had names, humans were already trading futures.
In medieval Europe, marriage contracts read like merger agreements. Clauses specifying dowries, inheritance rights, military alliances, and clauses forbidding infidelity. Not for moral reasons, but because paternity was property, and property was power. Love wasn't outlawed. It was outsourced.
Adultery, ironically, became the only space where passion could breathe freely, because marriage had no room for it. Catherine de' Medici, 1519 to 1589. Political strategist and court architect. A gilded cage. Ornate. Locked from the inside. Opened only for strategic release. Catherine didn't invent heels to look taller. She invented them to tilt the pelvis, to signal receptivity without uttering a word.
Her daughter's walk became a diplomatic instrument, her daughter's body, a treaty. That same logic lives in your DMs today, not as lace and protocol, but as language. I see us traveling the world, We'd be perfect parents. I can already imagine our wedding. These aren't hopes.
They're signaling devices. Evolutionary shorthand, saying, I am fertile. I am stable. I am committed, even when none of those things are true. Exaggerated promise triggers dopamine release, suppresses threat detection, lowers boundaries, enables extraction. It's better to be looked over than overlooked. Mae West. You weren't fooled because you're naive. You were designed to respond, biologically, developmentally, emotionally, to signals of long-term investment. Your brain rewards certainty. Your nervous system calms at the sound of permanence. Your heart softens at the idea of continuity. That's why future faking works. Not because it's clever, but because it's biologically resonant. And that resonance is precisely what makes it dangerous. Because when the future dissolves, as it always does, when the person vanishes, ghosts, or reveals their indifference, what collapses isn't just a fantasy. It's your sense of time itself. Your ability to trust your own perception. Your capacity to distinguish between what is spoken and what is shown. That fracture, that moment when the future you were sold evaporates like mist, is where the real work begins.
Here is the truth no one tells you. You do not need to confront. You do not need to debate. You do not need to prove anything. Not to them, not to yourself. All you need is architecture. 5 silent, non-negotiable moves. Not weapons, but walls. Not accusations, but alignments.
Not reactions, but recalibrations. These are not tactics to win. They are protocols to preserve. First, the reality anchor. Judge every person, not by what they say they will do, but by what they do now.
Not by their vision of your shared life, but by whether they remembered your sister's name, whether they showed up 15 minutes early, whether they asked how your week actually felt, not just said, you deserve the best. Anchor yourself in observable reality.
Because reality does not exaggerate. Reality does not rehearse. Reality simply is. Your attention belongs only to what exists, not to what is promised. Second, the micro-commitment test. Ask for something small, inconvenient, slightly awkward. Can you pick up milk on your way home? Can you call me tomorrow at 7? Not sometime. Can you send me that article you mentioned? Watch closely, not for the answer, but for the texture of the answer. Do they deflect, delay, over-explain? Or do they act cleanly, quietly, without fanfare? Micro-commitments reveal macro character. Third, the emotional withholding. When they launch into a lavish future fantasy, our beach house in Santorini, do not match their energy. Do not smile wider. Do not lean in. Let your face settle into neutral. Let your voice stay level. Let your nervous system remain unaroused. This is not coldness. It is calibration. You are training your limbic system to stop mistaking narrative for nourishment. Fourth, the dream devaluation. Respond to grandiose plans with polite boredom. Say, interesting. Or, yeah, that sounds big. Or simply, okay. No enthusiasm? No curiosity? No follow-up questions? You are signaling, not rudely, but unmistakably, that you respect execution, not imagination.
That you value follow-through, not foreplay. That you measure people in actions, not aesthetics. Fifth, the boundary of unwritten terms. This is the deepest move, and the quietest. You do not announce it. You embody it.
You begin treating every interaction as if it exists under an invisible contract. One you wrote in silence. I will not trade my present peace for your future fantasy. I will not mortgage my emotional stability for your speculative happiness.
I will not confuse your projection with my purpose. Boundaries are not walls you build against someone. They are the ground you choose to stand on, regardless of who walks beside you. Your worth is not negotiable, and it is never proven in advance.
These 5 moves do not require confrontation. They require consistency. They are not performed. They are lived. And each one, practiced daily, rewrites the neural pathways that once made you vulnerable to the lure.
You may think the problem is them, but the deeper wound, the one that keeps reopening, is older. Older than dating. Older than Tinder. Older than courtship itself. It began when you were small, when love came with conditions, when safety required performance.
When your caregivers needed you to be easier, quieter, brighter, more compliant, and you learned before language that your authentic self was too much or not enough. So you built a false self, not to deceive others, but to survive. A polished, agreeable, emotionally available, future-oriented version of you, designed to attract, reassure, and hold space for others' needs.
Harville Hendrix, 1932 to 2022. Relational psychologist and co-creator of Imago Therapy. To satisfy primary caregivers, children repress forbidden parts of themselves and create a character structure that serves as camouflage. Harville Hendrix. That false self is fluent in future faking because it was forged in future faking.
It learned early. If I promise to be perfect, I will be loved. If I imagine us happy, maybe we will be.
If I paint the future bright enough, the present won't hurt so much. So when someone mirrors that language, when they speak of forever before they know your favorite season, something in you recognizes it. Not as manipulation, but as familiarity, as home. That's why you keep stepping in. Not because you're gullible, but because your nervous system mistakes repetition for safety. Early relational conditioning creates false self. False self seeks validation, misreads future faking as attunement, reinforces cycle. You crave authenticity, yet feel comforted by performance.
The healing doesn't begin with spotting the fakers. It begins with recognizing the part of you that still believes, deep in the gut, below thought, that love must be earned through vision, not witnessed through presence. That belief is the real trap. And you? Yes, you hold the key.
Dopamine doesn't care about truth. It cares about salience, about novelty, about anticipation, about the shimmer of possibility, especially when that possibility feels personally meaningful. Which is why future faking is so potent.
It hijacks the same circuitry that lights up when you smell fresh bread, hear your name called in a crowd, or receive unexpected praise. It floods your system with the chemical signature of imminent reward, even though no reward is coming.
So, the antidote isn't skepticism. It's neurological recalibration. Begin by noticing, not judging. When your body responds to future talk, does your chest lift? Does your breath quicken? Does your mind race ahead, drafting scenes, choosing furniture, rehearsing vows? That's not love rising.
That's dopamine surging, and surging alone. You are not addicted to them. You are addicted to the feeling they temporarily unlock. So starve the circuit, gently, deliberately. When they describe your future, pause, breathe, name the sensation. Ah, there's the dopamine. Then return, not to resistance, but to anchoring. Feel your feet on the floor. Notice the weight of your phone in your hand. Hear the hum of the refrigerator. Bring your awareness down, out of the glittering projection, and into the unremarkable, unromantic, deeply trustworthy now. This is not denial. It is discernment.
Lena, 34, spent 3 years entangled with a man who spoke constantly of their forever life. She finally asked him, "What did you eat for breakfast yesterday?" He paused, then changed the subject. 2 weeks later, he ghosted.
She realized he couldn't recall her lunch order from Tuesday, but he'd memorized the floor plan of their imaginary Brooklyn loft. The future is not a place you go. It is a function of attention.
And every time you redirect your attention from the fantasy to the fact, from the promise to the pattern, you weaken the neural groove that once made you vulnerable. You are not losing romance. You are gaining sovereignty.
There is a phrase, gentle, unassuming, devastatingly potent, that dismantles the entire architecture of future faking in a single breath. Not yet. Not. No. Not, I don't believe you. Not that's unrealistic. Just not yet. Say it when they propose cohabitation after 6 dates. Say it when they declare soulmate status after 2 weekends. Say it when they sketch your retirement in Bali and you haven't even seen their apartment. Not yet. It is neither rejection nor agreement. It is temporal sovereignty. A declaration that time belongs to you, not to their narrative, not to their agenda, not to their urgency. Not yet is not hesitation. It is alignment. The most radical act of self-respect is refusing to rush your own becoming. This phrase works because it honors 2 truths at once: that the future could be beautiful, and that beauty requires foundation, that connection could deepen, and depth requires duration, that love could be real, and reality demands repetition. If you say yes too soon, you teach them your boundaries are negotiable. If you say not yet, you teach them your time is sacred. Try it. Whisper it in your mind first. Then say it aloud. Soft, certain, unapologetic. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. Feel the space open in your chest. That space? That is where your real life begins. Not in the fantasy. Not in the forecast. But right here. In the unscripted, unpolished, breathtakingly ordinary now.
When the illusion shatters, when the texts stop, the plans vanish, the person becomes a memory wrapped in confusion. What rises is not just grief. It is grief
for the time you spent believing, for the energy poured into a story that was never yours to tell.
For the versions of yourself you perform to fit their script. For the quiet erosion of your own intuition, replaced, for a season, by hopeful speculation. Not for the person, but for the self you forgot while holding their dream. This grief is sacred.
Not because it's deserved, but because it's honest. It means you cared. It means you hoped. It means you dared, however briefly, to imagine a different kind of belonging. So let it move through you. Don't pathologize the ache. Don't rush the unraveling.
Sit with the hollow where the future used to live. Look at it. Name it. Thank it for teaching you with brutal clarity what you truly require. Not grand promises, but grounded presence. Not dazzling projections, but dependable proximity. Not fireworks, but warmth that lasts.
The part of you that knew before your mind caught up. That part is still listening. And when the silence settles, when the noise of the collapse fades, you'll hear something else. A steadiness, a slowness, a quiet, unwavering knowing that you are enough exactly as you are with no future attached.
You will meet others. Some will speak of futures, lightly, playfully, respectfully. Others will project, inflate, accelerate, mistaking intensity for intimacy, speed for significance. You will recognize them now, not with anger, but with sorrow, not with suspicion, but with distance.
Not with urgency, but with patience. Because you have learned the deepest truth of all. Love is not a destination. It is the quality of attention you bring to the person standing in front of you. Right now, with their messy hair, their tired eyes, their unedited humanity.
It is found in the mundane, the way they stir their tea, the pause before they laugh, the quiet way they hold space when you're overwhelmed. It is written not in proposals, but in reliability, not in fantasies, but in follow-through, not in declarations, but in daily unglamorous devotion.
The future is not a place you arrive at. It is the echo of how you show up, today and today and today. If this resonated, subscribe. Not for more answers, but for more courage to ask better questions.
Because the most revolutionary thing you can do in a world of future faking is to live. Wholly, fiercely, unapologetically, in the present. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are becoming slowly, surely, beautifully real.